for your defense. More or less cash.
iDiskiTV powered by World Sports Betting. iDiski Times. The CEO does it. Mamelodi Sundowns winning in extra time, meaning the game ended 0-0 as a draw for all the punters out there. All of you who have money on World Sports Betting, unfortunately, you lost today. That's an unexpected result, although I did remind Junior on Friday with his prediction that the last time I think Polokwane City played against Sundowns, it was 0-0. Akona Makalima, the female referee, was the referee. Either the last time but it happened last season. It was 0-0. Polokwane City reinforcing. And the other time, of course, was Sundowns winning 2-0. But also it was a lot of low block as well when these two teams met last season. Pep Guardiola, the fake Guardiola. What do you make of the game, sir?
To be honest with you, a very high-tempo game. I think Mamelodi Sundowns had an incredible first half. I think we created 7 to 8 chances.
Yep.
Very clear. I think Ribeiro got 2. I think there was one from Ushasha where he hit the woodwork. I think there was one from Opre as well. I think
Matthews had an opportunity as well.
I think we created some incredible chances.
Would have ended in the first half.
Yeah. But to be honest with you, looking at the Polokwane, they started with a 4-2-3-1. But you look at the in position of the ball. Out of position, it's a 5-4-1. Very defensive formation. But you check the in the first half, I think we dominated the game. We kept moving the ball. But I feel that Coach Mangoba, by the way, is moving away from our patient position game. Now we're moving into quick passing football, you know.
And how does that look so far?
To be honest with you, the first half was really good. But my feelings were the line was too high. More especially our rest defense was very poor. Remember, also the best teams in the world, more especially position-based teams, they don't play with a single pivot. If they are going to use a single pivot, it's either they invert or they hybrid the centre-back. So for me, there were a lot of question marks, more especially out of position where they could catch us on a counter. I think Uchauke broke through. I think 2 or 3 times no Ramabu on the wings. Very creative. Very impressed by Mapangula as well with his forward passing and his diagonal passing to find his wingers.
There were not enough of them.
Yeah, there were not enough, but they created
the little that they did.
Yeah.
They should have scored, especially in the first half.
Yeah.
Sundowns could have scored 4 themselves. The Polokwane City could have scored 1 in the first half at least.
Because one of the things is, if you're a position-based team, if you're going to take your fullbacks as high as possible, you need to have a rest defense. We only defended with 2 and 1 with Tebza, which was a big worry for me.
Explain more in that, like in layman's terms, what does it mean? So if you have 2 fullbacks who are playing almost as winger, but on number 7 or number 11, literally their average position is on the final third. That means you only have 2 centre-backs left, plus your central defensive midfielder. What are you trying to say about that?
I'm trying to say, when you're defending, already you've got a winger and a striker. It's already a 3v3 situation. You need a numerical number to outnumber the opponent. So rest defense is defending with the ball. So when we have the ball, we are also worried about, hey, if they do play,
in the event that you lose it.
if we lose the ball, do we have enough numbers, or do we have the right players in the right positions to counter that counter? You know. But to be honest with you, I felt that we were too open. What Polokwane did is that Besfuna that dink pass. I think we played about 7 of those dink passes.
Yeah, I remember you were so pissed off. At some point, you were tired of it.
I was tired of it, and Polokwane was very smart. The coach read the game very well. I don't know, because the telephone call.
This is the thing I always say to you, like, don't give people too much credit. South African coaches are not that sophisticated.
I'm going to get there. I'm going to come there because I've got something to say there.
If you feel that South African coaches, like you were describing with Gavin Hunt, and I'm saying to you, these guys are not that sophisticated. They just play. You can describe the formation, but all they're doing is every man behind the ball.
Yeah.
Basically, it's not even that sophisticated. You saw it today that there's a phone call as well. So you ask yourself, who do you credit for this? It's every man behind the ball, and I know you don't like that.
I don't like that. To be honest with you, I'm looking at the game and I'm thinking to myself, okay, what is the game plan, coach? Okay, the game plan is to play diagonal balls wide. Why? Because obviously the Mamelodi Sundowns has its own game plan to push the fullbacks as high as possible. Where is the space? The space is in the wide corridors, in the wide channel. They found joy there. Trust me, they found joy. That's why I think they made a sub Kumdao. I think Kumdao myself was off today. Terence Mashiko was off. Biggest problem in this country, we produce some of the best wingers. We've got the reference of producing some of the best wingers. How do you give a responsibility to our fullbacks to bring in quality in assist zone? For me, in modern football, there's one part in modern football I understand, which is attacking a fullback. More especially in this country, specifically in this country where we've got dribbling wizards. We've got a player who are dangerous in 1v1 situations. I was listening to Coach Mangoba. He said, it's either we're going to play with the wingers that are going to play inside, which is the ones that we use. Do Matthews, no Ribeiro. Which is, I feel that Ribeiro was incredible today. He played almost as an extra midfielder where he came into midfield, played as a double number 10 next to Alendo, Mudiba, you know what I mean? He came in and then Matthews was the one that was doing runs in behind the defense because his strength and his profile is to run it behind the defense. I think there were 2 balls like he could have gotten a hold of and then a punish it, I think. But looking at that structure, for me, I felt that how do you break a low block? You break a low block with width, which is something that we had. We had it with Ngama fullbacks. But is that width? Does that width give us enough quality to bring in the opportunities or chance creations or assists? For me, I felt that it didn't work. For me, I would have opted to have maybe Umasego on the white channel or have another winger on the other channel so that sizokwazi ukuthola leyo width because precision was lacking as well. You understand? We move the ball too slow, but we want to break a low block, in my opinion. We have width, but the weak lacks quality in terms of it delivery across, in terms of it thinking. For me, I expect I'm a fullback and a brain. That's why I opted for Oprimdim. Why are you bringing Opri when you know pension? I don't want to be too critical because it's the first game of the season. Yeah. But for me, in my opinion, I like counter-attacking football. But today, with what Coach Mangoba has promised us with the Masanta's fans, I didn't see a counter-attacking team. We were not aggressive in attacking the last line. Matthews was not aggressive in attacking the last line. Ushalulile, that's the least we ask from you, Masanda pressure. Bamba kahle into yethu. You understand? Because inkuleko siyalibhaza. Siyakufeed enyaweni. Sicela usibambele kahle ibhola, utrap ibhola elikhuphukayo. Biggest critic for me, I always said this, whether Mabaso, whether Chivavaro, whether Shalulile. I think people will have me for this. But to be honest with you, Nkuleko, I don't believe big clubs must play with a striker like that, man. I believe that big clubs must play with a striker that's very comfortable on the ball. A striker is no brain, is no creativity. Because Pega Mamel, guna last nigga koni ball, ushalulile, but but hold the ball. So that's what was actually with. So that's what was actually runs diagonal. Also was actually support the center. He loses those balls very easy for me. He can't protect the ball. If his other responsibility is to score goals, what other role does he have? Because his responsibility Shalulile is to be the first defender of Mamelodi Sundowns when the opponent has the ball, more especially when they are trying to build up. I didn't see Polokwane trying to build up today. So you
don't need him in this instance.
You don't need him because now we needed a thinker. We needed someone who has brains. There was a period where I trap a bola and you can tell pass the opponent. I'm thinking to myself, just trap bola and or scan it and I didn't even scan. Scan a trap bola, you realize good pressure.
You do realize that it's not the first match that he does that. And this speaks to now what happens in training. And also, even if they've trained you for 100 hours, if you still can't get it, then that's you as a package. And I think that's the point that So tries to make as well, Wuti. This is who he is. This is what you bought. Yeah. He's scored for you in the last maybe 4 seasons, maybe over 60 goals.
And we are grateful. Trust me, we are grateful.
So this is what it is. I don't like it too. I'm not saying that it's right that he can't trap the ball. It's ridiculous, actually. It is staggering that he can't trap the ball and he can't pass the ball beyond 3 meters. But that's who you have. It's either you take the fact that he doesn't score as much as he used to, or you look at Arthur Salis or another striker.
For me, Nkulego, another thing, the balance in midfield. Tebza, it seems like the game has a ceiling now. A very high praise of Tebza the last 2 seasons. But for me, and I'm going to be very honest, Tebza seems like it has a ceiling now, Nkulego. And I know we had this discussion in S2.
I don't like that.
And I think it has a ceiling because for me, I'm looking at Tebza. I'm like, okay, he's a modern midfielder. More especially for me, I still pass the way we still pass on a corner. Alende is too far. But also, you must also understand the structure of playing. Tebza in the first half was playing in the central of those 3. 3-4-3 with two number 10s, with 1-8 and 1 number 10. Tebza played central. Alende played almost like a third centre back. And then Opri would occupy the half space on the right in an advanced position.
Him on the right I don't even understand why he was on the right
So Opri would be here and then goes about Tebza and then go Alendela. And then when the ball is on the right, the very same thing. Opri, we third centre back. So meaning that I'm a full back maybe as high as possible. And then they create a third centre back for a balance, a mover. And then they would have Tebza and then Alende in an advanced position. For me, master to champion centre line. There is the forward pass, but the forward pass is not creative for me. I know direction to say, okay, we want to break through, but how do we, after that pass, what happens next? For me, you can't find a fullback in those positions. It's either you find a number 10, you find a Matthews, or you find a Ribeiro. That's why Ribeiro was more effective because they could find him here. But for me, they made things difficult for Matthews because for me, Matthews, I see him as a person that, yes, his profile like is to run in behind, but you can always pass him into feet. You know, I'm tembi enough not to pass him into feet, but for all the time. You know what I mean? But for me, looking at also Polokwane City, I felt that Uchauke had a good game. Not a striker that I prefer, but obviously I'm not a Polokwane City coach. But too many decision making, I'm shy.
Let me ask you, as you describe Polokwane City, and this is almost a dilemma for teams who are inferior to Sundowns. That's almost the rest of the league, unless you are Pirates, unless you are Stellenbosch, or unless you are Cape Town City. You can punch here and there when you're playing against Sundowns. For a Polokwane City who is maybe the 10th best team in the country or the 8th best team in the country, I don't know what their strength is, but based on where they finished last season, they were the 8th best team in the country, although they look like a relegation team. What's the priority here? Like you drag this as long as it can last, or you say we have a fighting chance? Because they had a red card. And I thought, like, shoot enough times to the goalkeeper who's not a goalkeeper, Musa Lebusa, but they never shot enough times. In fact, they just shot the one goal, that free kick that went off target, and there's nothing else. For them, what's an objective, realistic objective against a team like Sundowns?
Nkulego, to be honest with you, nobody expected them to get a result against the Mamelodi Sundowns. But how the game panned out, you get a free kick. Maybe it's Kalela, you get a free kick. I don't know what decision making was it. I felt that the decision was very wrong for me. But uthatha free kick, umarema. Uthatha free kick, we pass out wide. No one says a thing. I mean, I've always said, Polokwane City, Kokuna United, Amazulu, Cape Town City, Stellenbosch, those teams need to be scrutinized. Those coaches need to be scrutinized. The technical team need to be scrutinized. Those players are getting away with so much. Whether Chauka, whether Muremi, whether Apolis, whether Mapangula, which is a player that I felt was very influential for them today. Cole Alexander, Nkani, the man of the match, Unikani. I feel that the both fullbacks played very, very Matuludi Nonkwe. But for me, I feel that those players now, the fact that they made the top 8, there should be an improvement there. More especially when we are playing against Sundowns. Sundowns has a red card. How are you not aggressive in attacking that last line? How do you allow Sundowns to pass Paula short? I understand there's a difference in quality, but can we show we want to win the game?
At least in terms of numerical superiority.
Yeah.
Even if the quality is not the same, but sure, Agbena Lapo a position where you can clearly see that Sundowns aina muntu ngoba iya shorter. But you couldn't even see that.
Apolis get an opportunity, 1v1 with the goalkeeper. Extra time, gets an opportunity. He passes the goalkeeper's handling. Unacceptable for me. Gunabo unlucky but too much. Iyanzeka na good development into one mese phambi kwepalithiwe unlucky. Certain things are really unacceptable. I've got very high standards in Kuleo. I told you ngathi mina my basis of analyzing a player or profiling a player starts from the fact that are you talented now? Forget the discipline. Are you talented? Nah, for me, that's where I judge you. So if you talent is less and the discipline is high, for me, it's a problem because man, I analyze the discipline and I can't analyze the discipline. I must analyze the talent and the influence on I came in.
But unfortunately, in South African football, we have what we have. The players that we watch every single week are the players that we watch every single week. Whether you feel they're not supposed to be there, that's why sometimes there's even this negative reaction to the things we say because we've made it very clear at iDiskiTV throughout the last 5 years that this shit is not good enough. Like in many games we say it, and you will never hear that on radio, you will never hear that on television, and that's why there's hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people per month who watch us, although they have a tendency, because of accepting mediocrity, they have the tendency of, it sounds harsh to them, but we are inherently, I agree with you about the lack of talent, but we can only analyze the lack of talent in front of us. We cannot talk about players that are not being scouted, who are not there. We can say that they're not being scouted. It's
unacceptable. I'm looking at players like about Terence Mashigo. One of the responsibilities of Coach Mangoba is we want to attack our fullback as high as we can because we want to sacrifice big attacking midfielders waiting half spaces in 8 so we can have width, so we can create a double number 10 with our wingers. They must come inside. You get into the final third, you get into assist zone. Terrible in terms of crossing. It's unacceptable. Playing for a big club, representing such a big brand, you're an international player. I'm looking at those players, I'm thinking to myself, where is the improvement here? Some of the players are getting away with so much. I understand. Okay, even as well, Umshishi got introduced in the second half, gets an opportunity to score, doesn't score. No one is going to say a thing because it's the great Umshishi. I respect him very much, he knows. Ukanzo. But I'm going to say, criticism, people must understand in this country that criticism, positive criticism is part of support. If we are going to keep quiet and praise in Tengeko at times, it's not going to grow a game. Like I mentioned, the Polokwane City, they made the top 8. That means those players, they do have something. They've got very good fullbacks, like we spoke, Unkwe, no, Matuludi, very solid center back. I think the goalkeeper is a good organizer as well. A very experienced player in Cole Alexandra. You've got a player who...
Well, whatever you describe, as you're describing it, it will never be the equivalent of they can win a match against Sundowns.
For sure.
Other than the fact that the circumstances, uNkulunkulu baphile namhlanje through Swati Inan, and then that means 30 minutes or 40 minutes with 10 men. That's where, that for me, like I was so pissed off when Steve Compella coaching Golden Arrows, when Sundowns did not have a lose, and I was like, this is the best chance to beat Sundowns at minute number 46. Lebusa gets a red card, and you're playing against a 10 men. And Rurana Mukwena, what did he do? He introduced strikers. And he almost won the game with 10 men. And that's where I'm like, okay, inherently I can sympathize with you, Golden Arrows. In this game, I would be a liar if I thought that you were going to win, because the quality, the difference in quality, and the difference in finances, whatever, and the differences in the way that they do things at Sundowns. That's the best team in the country. But when you get 10 men, when God gives you a through pass, there's a point where it's like, I know, I think Polokwane said, I think I would be more harsh on them, that they had so much of their time against 10 men and they never used it.
Use the ball a little bit better, Nkulego. Okay, show us that you can use the ball a little bit better, more especially against the 10 men. For me, when I watched that free kick from number 10 and it kicked that ball to the side, I said to myself, this is unacceptable. This is not a good brand for South African football. You can't, there's a player, the least you can do is hit the target. So Tina's trial, and it doesn't start with PSL, it starts even with grassroots. Unlucky boy. There's nothing unlucky. We need high standards. We need to raise our standards. The powers are high. One of the reasons why we never played professional in Kulego is because we played Neitatin. You understand? So manje the thought of and they are getting away. For me, it frustrates me. Before I'm a Sundowns fan, I'm a football lover. And by the way, I'm a football coach. Moving into Lente coach at Cape Town, Polokwane City. I'm a development coach in Kulego. And for me, I have a plea in this country, and I'm saying I feel discouraged as a young black coach in this country. I know I never played professionally, but Urulani gave us hope. Jose Mourinho gave us hope. To watch a coach, my instructions like that in a phone. I understand good development football. You are not allowed to have a phone. You are not allowed to be on your call. For him to even receive a call, it's unacceptable. It's total disrespect to South African coaches. They've done it Mosiema when they fired him from his kukune. They are doing it now with this coach. This thing. How many of these things Slogos complain through in throughout? People are complaining Orlando Pirates that Screamer is doing the very same thing. The level of disrespect to our own is unacceptable. For you to even call a coach, to consider for me, is a cry to say South Africans need coaches that are going to have. I don't want to mention the name, but we need citing a writing. We need to stand our own now. I don't know whether we need a union or whatever that we need, but this is coming to a point where we are saying now as South Africans, this is unacceptable. You cannot, if you needed a coach that you're going to trust, why don't you hire a European? Are you putting that guy there so that you can give him the instructions and him on? Because for me, the guy did well. And also, it's the work at Sononosiyama. You can tell Polokwane, it's a well-coached team. The way they play, the way they structure their team with and without the ball. The guy can read the game, you can tell. But why is he there on the bench if you guys won't trust him? You know? So those are some of the things that I'm crying about. I'm leaving this game. I'm leaving today feeling very disappointed. I'm hurt, by the way, to be honest, because I like the coach. I know the coach personally. And they're putting me under pressure. They're putting me under pressure. Because the management, why coach now.
All right, let's close it. It's been how many minutes? 20 minutes? You made a very good point, though. You make a very good point. I said we were discussing this before it unfolded in the game. And I said to you and so that nowadays, the safest thing to do is to coach your own club. Like you have to have 100 million, buy a PSL status. If you have coaching ambitions, the safest team to coach is your own club, Otherwise,
sorry, just before you close it. I mean, this season, I'm not going to praise players that are going to have one performance and then the next time they don't perform and then we say, well done. We need consistency in the PSL. I'm sick and tired.
This is not your last video.
For sure.
We will shoot 100 videos this season.
But I'm just saying,
you emphasize.
For sure.
Don't worry, it's not the last opportunity. Thank you so much to Lindo. Thank you very much to everyone as well who watched us. The point is still the same though. The only team you can coach in South Africa is a team that you buy yourself and then you can coach for yourself. Otherwise, everyone else, I mean, we've had coaches. Dylan Kerr was hired and didn't play his first game. Vosumuzi Vilakazi didn't play his first game at Richards Bay after saving the team. Peter Hebala at Sekhukhune He resigned last night at 10:30. The media in South Africa, we have a media WhatsApp group. The whole media in this country have one WhatsApp group. We received a communication from Skukune at 10:30 last night as well. There's others as well that are unsettled that we know, but it's still speculation. You know, you don't even get into the first game and you are fired. So there you are. The only team that you can coach is a team that you start yourself. iDiskiTV, Times, World Sports Betting. Thank you for watching us.